A big question before we move on to ECAB is, so you write this up. What happens next? Do you confer with a supervisor? Where does the bail amount come from? Is that your decision or is that your supervisor's decision?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. How is it done in Queens?
It changed.
Okay.
It used to be the decision of the arraignment supervisor.
Okay.
But it's intake supervisor's decision now.
Okay.
I mean, when I was in ADA...
I mean, I feel like they're trained more to understand the ramifications of the seriousness of a case. Because in Queens specifically, they're newer ADAs. You're brand new in the office writing up cases. Yeah, you may know how to write up a case, but can you understand the in-between lines of what the value of this case is or how bad this could be, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you wouldn't want an ADA who's, like, new to this. You don't know what county they came from, what borough they came from. They could be from the hood or they could be from the suburbs. And you can't have that discretionary thing happening in arraignment. It doesn't look good. So it should be a meeting of the minds and everybody on the same page, even though it may not seem that way, but it's clearer when a supervisor has the authority to do something like that.
And how does the Bronx work?
When we were ADAs, when we were under Johnson, they had the horizontal system. What we did was we would write up our complaint, do our whole investigation. We'd go and we'd conference our final complaint, and then we'd decide on if there's going to be a plea offer made at the arraignment or if there's going to be some sort of, and what the bail application is going to be. We'd write our bail application, what our argument is, but we decide the number together. By the time, after a while, you just sort of, you make a recommendation and your supervisor just agree with you. After a while, my supervisors didn't even check. When I became a trial division, when I went to felony assistant and it was a vertical system, you had your direct supervisors in the complaint room with you. So your unit was collecting all the cases at the same time. So you'd pick up a case, you'd work on it, you know it's your case, you'd go and you'd be like, look, I think this case isn't worth the bail application, or I think this case is worth like a lot of bail. And generally, if your supervisor trusted you, it was going to be all good, right?
I like
But
that.
that was because you were responsible for it.
I like the bureau thing, like everybody together writing up the cases, because intake is the trenches.
You know what's funny is, what I always hate, because I do my job, what I feel like as a public defender, what I do well is humanizing my clients, humanizing myself, and somehow making the ADA realize, hey, you represent me, my client, his cousin, you represent all of Queens. And I feel like that always helps me. And at arraignments, it does, unless you have a high level ADA in there that can override whatever's happening in the back end, you can't sit there and go, what the fuck are we talking about, bro? Like, what do you mean? You actually for bail on this? This is crazy. Dude, why? This is why.
I would say that we worked as adversaries. We tracked to the same part. So we worked as adversaries, and every time Eugene came in the courtroom, I used to be like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear this story. And I would start pulling his cases out. Every case had a story behind it, like he was there. Every case.
Because every client is a person. And I make you feel like he's a person.
Every defendant is a person. I always move like that. Every defendant is a person. Every complaining witness is a person, whatever. But you was there at the scene when it happened. Every time.